welcome to Hashimoto's Unfiltered, real talk, real solutions. The podcast where we cut through the noise and get straight to the heart of living with Hashimoto's. My name is Dr. Ray Benedetto, your host, and I'm here to share my expertise, personal insights, and from time to time, conversations with incredible guests to help you take control of your health. Together, we'll explore actionable items, debunk myths, and navigate the complexities of your thyroid health. So whether you're newly diagnosed or a seasoned warrior, this is your space for unfiltered truth and real hope. Let's dive in. All right, let's dig in. So what we're going to talk about today, the last couple of weeks in this series have been about what I wanted to address is like a lot of the main symptoms that people get, right? Fatigue and weight gain and all that kind of stuff. Like here are the main symptoms that Hashimoto's causes, and kind of do a little bit of a deep dive as to like why, like what's the mechanism, like why do I experience this? And then again, more importantly, like, okay, what do we do about it? So as you can see today, we're going to talk about skin stuff, because I get a lot of questions on this. There's been a lot of chatter in the group about it this week. You name it, everything from hives to rashes to discoloration to psoriasis to eczema. I mean, most of you who are watching this or listening to me right now have experienced probably some skin stuff, even if it's just dry skin. So we're going to kind of do a deep dive as to why this happens and where it's from. And then, sum it up with like, what do we do about this? And again, those of you who are new, or if you're listening to me for the first time, I'm usually going to be like, okay, here's why this is happening. Here's what this is. Here's why this is happening. But most importantly, like, okay, here's what can be done about it. Like, here's what needs to be done to get this fixed. The connection between Hashimoto's, autoimmune conditions in general, but Hashimoto is my specialty, and skin reactions, something that I talk about with patients that comes up in my practice very frequently because they're very common and they're obviously the most visible and sometimes distressing symptom, right, from this. So kind of dovetailing on what we talked about with some of the last couple of talks, it really comes down to the major overarching underlying cause, which would be immune system dysregulation. The immune system is not working, and chronic inflammation. And those two are entwined. Let's kind of do a quick breakdown. Okay. Now, again, most of you know this. If you don't, Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition. The body's immune system mistakenly attacks the thyroid gland. So that causes a chronic kind of low-grade inflammation. And now this same inflammation that targets the thyroid can also manifest itself in other parts of the body. That gives us all the symptoms, including the skin, which is our largest organ. Skin is our largest organ. So again, just like we talked about in previous weeks, the immune system is on this constant state of alert, high alert. It's causing this constant inflammatory process, and these can affect your skin. We also talked about concepts like cross-reactivity, where the immune system is on the attack on the thyroid, and then other parts of someone, other tissues, get caught in the crosshairs. We can even have autoimmune attacks on the skin itself, things like psoriasis and things like that. Now, not everyone's going to experience, let's dive into some of the specifics. Not everyone's going to, some specific skin conditions and their link to Hashimoto's. Not everyone with Hashimoto's is going to experience these, but it's very common, and there's a lot of well-documented connections between Hashimoto's and specific skin conditions, okay? The big ones, chronic hives or urticaria. Chronic hives, one of the most common. And there are studies that show significant percentage of people with chronic hives, a lot of research, some of the research I was looking at, as high as 20 to 30% of patients with chronic hives also have thyroid antibodies in their blood, okay, which again is a sign of Hashimoto's, hallmark sign. So the connection's so strong that a lot of doctors, even the medical world, recommend screening for Hashimoto's in patients with unexplained chronic hives. I do for sure. Absolutely. It's like a no-brainer just because I've seen it so many times. Psoriasis. Psoriasis is an autoimmune condition. So psoriasis is an autoimmune condition where the skin gets attacked. Again, very common because to see them in conjunction. I mean, other autoimmune diseases in general, but psoriasis with Hashimoto's, because of this constant immune dysfunction, inflammatory process that we talk about with autoimmune disease in general. Dermatitis, eczema, Hashimoto's, which which causes the hypothyroidism, can cause things like dry skin, eczema. So the thyroid gland isn't producing enough hormones. That's hypothyroidism from the Hashimoto's. It can slow down the rate of skin cell turnover. It can reduce the oil production that keeps our skin moist. So it can lead to this dry, flaky, itchy skin. Alopecia, forget it. Hair stuff. Again, alopecia, broadly speaking, a lot of times has autoimmune causes hair loss. So there's a huge association between alopecia and Hashimoto's, but also hypothyroidism in general can cause hair loss. So just having hypothyroidism can cause it. If your hypothyroidism is caused by an autoimmune disease, which most of it is, Hashimoto's, we can see alopecia with it too. And with alopecia, the immune system attacks the hair follicles. Vitiligo, same deal. You get these like patches on the skin, like these where you lose the skin tone, the melanin, the melanocytes, where the immune system can attack those as well. Let's talk about the hypothyroidism in general. These are common things that we see with skin with hypothyroidism, which is caused from the Hashimoto's. Again, dry, rough, scaly skin, super common because of the reduced oil production and the slower turnover of the skin cells that we just talked about. Myxedema, this is very common as well. People complain about this a lot. Swelling, puffy, bloating, waxy feeling skin. We usually see this in the face. Myxedema, like a swelling in the skin. And even just like pale or cold skin, because we have poorer circulation and slower metabolism. So that's kind of why the skin goes south. It has to do with the autoimmune reactions, the chronic inflammation. And then there's huge links between certain diagnosed skin conditions and Hashimoto's. What's the approach? What do we do? And I'm going to sound like a broken record on this one, but this is just the way it is. So for my patients that have Hashimoto's and they have these skin issues with it, the approach, and here's the challenge. And I have this conversation daily with my patients. The approach cannot just be treat the skin with topical creams, antihistamines, steroids. You go to the dermatologist and they're putting everything under the sun on your skin. Okay. Again, those can provide temporary relief sometimes, but they don't address the root cause of the problem. Again, I have this talk daily with patients. They've come to me and they're like, my skin is a disaster. I've been to the dermatologist. We've tried everything under the sun. Nothing is working. And it's because the root cause of it is the Hashimoto's or the autoimmune reactions. And so until we get this fixed from the inside out, we can't get it better. I've had cases. I remember this one case. I still talk about this one because this may have been the worst one I've ever had in all the years I've been doing this. I mean, covered in hives. Like, because I do virtual appointments. This was someone who was not close to me. It was a virtual patient. So, so that's why I do them like on Zoom, because I still need to see people. I want to look at, especially with skin stuff. So this particular patient, I mean, head to toe, like every inch of her body was covered in these hives. And they were bad, like on a couple of levels. Number one, they were incredibly uncomfortable. Like they hurt just wearing clothing. Like think about waistbands, all that kind of stuff. I mean, covered in these things. And she was young, 40-ish, late 30s, early 40s, not. And so like young kids, married, couldn't leave the house. Like, I mean, just like go be social with, meet with friends or take your kids to the park. Could not leave the house. So super uncomfortable, super debilitating how they felt. And then couldn't leave the house because like the way she looked. She didn't want to leave the house. She felt embarrassed about the way she looked because it was bad. And we ran her through a protocol that we're going to briefly talk about now, which you guys have heard me talk about a million times, but we're going to talk about like what to do, like how we address this. And it was lightning. It was like 6 weeks. It was awesome. It was less than 3 months. I usually start out patients with like a 90-day protocol. It was less than that. It was half that. It was 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks. I mean, gone. Like they were never even there. It was awesome. It was beautiful. It's like why I get up in the morning. It's the reason why I do what I do. That's like life-changing stuff right there. And that's my mission. That's why I'm sitting here right now with you doing this, because I'm trying to get to as many people as I can to help them to treat this stuff, because that patient of mine was suffering and was at the end of the rope. Like, there were no other options, medically speaking, to help her, and it was not better. And she was staring down the barrel of the rest of my life. This is it. And that's no way to live. So that was a cool one. That was a really cool one. And that was, again, probably my worst one, and maybe the best turnaround too, to be honest with you. So we have to address the root cause. So instead of like throwing lotions and potions and everything at this stuff and medications and all this stuff, we have to focus on identifying root causes, getting the immune system in check, reducing the inflammation. Those things right there are going to be huge. So we have to identify. It's the same story, gang. We have to identify and we have to deal with triggers, root causes. A huge one here is foods, right? Foods, because huge reactions with foods. Primary drivers of inflammation. We often see significant improvements just doing this. Things like gluten, dairy, soy, you name it. But we just removing foods and starting with a AIP elimination diet, which is where we start, is huge. Okay. And if you want help with it and you need to do this, that's great. Let me know. I'm here to help. Number 2, while we're doing that, so we do an elimination protocol first, because we have to take foods out of the equation. So we have to take out any foods that could be a problem. While we're doing that, what do we got to do? We got to get in there and heal the gut. We have to, right? The gut, a lot of times what's going on in the gut is outwardly reflected in the skin. It's huge, right? The lining of your gut and the lining of your skin, the lining of your gut and your skin, which is the lining of the outside of your body, histologically, like from an embryo, they derive from similar tissue. So got to fix the gut. Leaky gut, major gateway of inflammation. So we use targeted protocols to heal the lining, rebalance the biome in the gut, the bacteria, kill off any bad guys like parasites and stuff like that. We got to kill all that stuff out. Improve absorption of nutrients. So healthy gut, better regulated immune system, many times clears it up by itself, to be honest with you. We have to address things like nutrient deficiencies, vitamin D, omega-3s, all this kind of stuff. Those can contribute to the skin problems as well. We got to manage stress. We got to deal with stress. We got to deal with cortisol imbalances, right? That's why I do Dutch testing. You guys have heard me talk about this. I do Dutch testing on almost all my patients, Dutch complete, because it looks at hormones, it looks at adrenals, it looks at all these nutrient deficiencies. It looks at all this stuff on one test, which is cool. So stress. So we got to look at the adrenals. We got to tweak those. And we need to work on lifestyle stress management techniques, right? Which is going to be different for everybody. We want to support thyroid function, normal thyroid function. So we don't cure Hashimoto's. There's no cure. We want to get into remission, optimize thyroid hormone levels, optimize conversion with lifestyle, diet, co-management with medical as needed. Because, a lot of times, so we get all this stuff handled, then we can get the skin to improve. Really, bottom line, the skin most of the time is acting as an outward sign or an outward signal of an internal problem. So by viewing it with that lens, not like this is a skin problem, put stuff on it, by viewing it with that lens that the skin reactions are symptoms of a deeper process, a deeper autoimmune process, a deeper inflammatory process, we can use functional medicine protocols to address the underlying cause of the problem. Again, I know I'm a broken record with this, but it's just medicine doesn't do this. They treat symptoms with pills and potions and lotions when it's skin stuff. We have to get to the underlying root cause. We fix that. We address that. The autoimmunity, the inflammation, the skin gets better. It's not rocket science, but you got to know what to do and you got to know how to do it. And you got to know what to do when like little things pop up along the way and bumps in the road and all this kind of stuff. And most doctors out there just don't. They just don't. Medical world, forget it. Functional medicine, maybe 1% actually know what they're doing, to be honest with you. So that's the skin story. All right. I'll come that up. You guys know I get a little jazzed up sometimes on these talks, but that's the skin story. That's the deal. That's why it's doing what it's doing. And the key to fixing it is, again, what you guys have heard me talk about over and over and over again, get to the root of the problem. It's an internal problem manifesting itself on the outside, especially when you've done everything under the sun dermatologically and it's not getting better. It's got to be an inside job. It's got to be something going on inside that's causing the outward skin stuff reflecting. Okay. So we got to get to the root of the internal stuff. Got to get to the root of the autoimmune problem and the inflammatory stuff, and we got to fix those things, and then the skin clears up, just like any symptom, just like weight gain or fatigue or brain fog. Like those are all the alarm bells of something internally wrong. And once we've identified it, now the hard part is fixing it. And that's where the work begins. And that's what I help my patients do. You're never going to get that in medicine. Again, you're never going to really get that kind of comprehensive game plan in the natural world either. You have to find someone that really specializes in Hashimoto's and individualizes their care. It's what I do. I want to thank you for tuning in to Hashimoto's Unfiltered, Real Talk, Real Solutions. Again, my name is Dr. Ray Benedetto, and I hope today's episode helped to give you the tools and the insights you need to take another step forward on your Hashimoto's journey. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode if you think someone could benefit. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Dr. Ray Benedetto and on my website, drraybenedetto.com, for more resources and updates. Until next time, remember, you're not alone and real solutions are always within reach. Take care and be well.